Recording started.
This is case study number 1, Black Smokers Resolution by Corey Harlow. Case study number 1 is full of content. However, it's very basic content that we must go over. So let's first talk about what case study number 1 is. Case study number 1 is called Black Smokers. It's all about basic environmental science terms along with seafloor spreading and the mid-ocean ridge and how black smokers are a relatively new biome to the Earth. So first it talks about the biosphere. The biosphere is a region of Earth that encompasses all living organisms. This includes plants, animals, and bacteria. This right here is an image of the biosphere. Bio, if you didn't already know, means life, and Russian scientist Vladimir Vernadsky was the first to use this term. Ecosphere is also used, and it's the meaning home. This includes outer region of the Earth, which includes the lithosphere, and the lower region, which is known as the troposphere. The biosphere also includes the hydrosphere, or the Earth's water resources. So just to refresh what I just stated there, the biosphere is made up of the lithosphere, which is the outer region of the Earth, the lower region of Earth, which is called the troposphere, and the hydrosphere, or where the water resources are located on Earth. Some other things about the biosphere. It extends from the bottom of the ocean to the highest mountaintop. So we can see here is the upper crust, and here is the atmosphere. And then within the atmosphere, this region right here, 12.4 miles, is what is known as the biosphere. We're just now realizing that some microbes live deep inside the Earth's crust, however, which makes the biosphere a bit larger. And as far as we know, the biosphere is a very thin layer on Earth. So as you can see here, it's only that thick. It's not really that big when you think of the atmosphere as a whole and the crust. The next thing he talks about is biotic versus abiotic. As far as biotic regions go, we have the biosphere. The abiotic regions are the lithosphere, troposphere, and hydrosphere. And as you can see here, I think this is an interesting image. We have the atmosphere, which is also part of the lithosphere, and the troposphere, and then the hydrosphere, which make up this ecosphere. And here on this image, you have the hydrosphere, and the biosphere, and the lithosphere, and the atmosphere, and the anthrosphere, or the human effect on these spheres. Next, we talk a little bit about the study of ecology. Ecology is the study of the relationship between organisms with one another and with their environment. And there's different levels of an ecology. First, you start with an individual. Individuals grouped together make up a population. Several populations make up a community. Several communities make up an ecosystem. Several ecosystems make up a biome. All the biomes combined make up the biosphere. Another term used in this particular case study is biodiversity, the measure of the variety of organisms in an ecosystem. So next, let's talk about classification. Species is a group of organisms that are physically and genetically related to one another. An individual is just one particular animal or organism within a species. Then we talk about there's prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Prokaryotes lack a nucleus. Instead, the nuclear membranes are floating around in the DNA, and genetic information is just floating around within the cytoplasm. Eukaryotes, on the other hand, actually have a nucleus where the DNA is contained. They have a physical nucleus. Then we talk about autotrophs, which make their own food, and heterotrophs, which receive their food by consuming other organisms. Also note that prokaryotes are organisms such as bacteria. Eukaryotes are animals such as humans. Autotrophs would be animals such as plants, fungi. Heterotrophs would be animals such as mammals, birds, fish, any type of animal that consumes other animals to receive energy. Other classification terms. A number of individuals of the same species in the area is what makes up a population. The habitat is the place where these populations live. All populations of a species in a given area make up what is known as a community. So the population of species in a given area, so a whole bunch of populations in there, this could be the goat population, the cow population, chicken population in one area, makes up the community. Then it talks about abiotic limiting factors, which are physical and chemical characteristics of the environment. So these are factors such as rainfall amounts, oxygen levels, things like that. Tolerance level is that factors cannot exceed this level. This is the maximum level of a factor that the population can take before they become extinct. Biotic limiting factors is competition between organisms. So biotic means life, as we said. So it's when one organism fights with another over something, such as grassland or some sort of situation like that. And there's keystone species, which is one that a population cannot live without. I don't know why that says love. It should say live. Next, we talk a little bit about consumers versus producers. Consumers must obtain their food by eating other organisms. The main types of consumers include herbivores, which eat only plants, omnivores, which eat plants and animals, carnivores, which eat only meat, detritivores, which eat on dead waste and organisms, scavengers, which feed on dead animals, and decomposers that break down dead materials. And we can see here some producers such as the sunflower and the poinsettia, cactus, and American holly, and the conifers, and the palm trees, and I'm not sure what some of these other ones are. That's a Christmas tree. Consumers, we have the lion and the porcupine and the bear and the chicken and the goose and the rabbit, calf, dog, cat, hamster. In decomposers, we have mushrooms and some sort of organism. And as far as producers, they make their own food. And they do that usually through photosynthesis or chemosynthesis. So next we talk about food chain versus food web. Food chains transfer of energy from producers all the way to tertiary consumers. So this is a food chain. We start with an energy source, which is the sun. This energy is then converted to photosynthesis through a producer or some type of animal. We then have a primary consumer, such as a grasshopper, that eats this leaf. We then have a secondary consumer, such as a spider, that eats this grasshopper. We then have a tertiary consumer, which eats the spider, which is eating the grasshopper, which is eating the leaf, which has gotten energy from the sun. So it's just a big transfer of energy from one organism to another. Food web is many food chains intertwined together. So here would be an example of food web. We have the deer eating the tree, but then we also have the deer eating the whatever that is. I can't even tell. And then we have a fox eating that organism, and that organism eating the owl, and then the owl eating the rabbit. And just a whole bunch of food chains interlocked and intertwined with one another. Next, we talk about ecological succession, and there's two types of ecological succession. Primary succession is the development of the first biota in a region where no life is found. So this is when there's no life in an area and all of a sudden succession comes about. Secondary succession is when the existing ecosystem or population is broken down by a human process and soil is only left to begin anew. So this area has already had life at one time. However, human process such as deforesting has cleared the area in the slash and burn technique, and the soil is left to begin a new ecological community. And we have here bare soil, grass, and the shrubs and trees and large trees. Next, we talk about the biomes. And we talk about the aquatic biomes. There's three main aquatic biomes. We have freshwater, the marine biome, and then the black smokers or the mid-ocean ridge. And the black smokers is the new of these aquatic biomes, and this is what this case study is named after. As far as the terrestrial biomes go, we have the desert biome, which is very hot and dry, the savanna biome, which is mostly grass and savanna. It's a very flat area. We have the taiga, which is a mix between biomes and is not very hot, but is not also cold. We have the temperate deciduous forest, like our area in which we live in Virginia, where we have forest and forested land. Then there's the grassland, which is usually flat and bare and nothing but grass. And you have the tropical rainforest, such as the Amazon, where there's a ton of rainfall and a whole bunch of animal diversity. And then you have the tundra, which is the very cold regions. And, you know, actually, the taiga is a pretty cold region also, but it's not as cold as the tundra region. And also, just to go back, freshwater means that there's no salt in the water, and the marine biome would include saltwater areas. Finally, we get to the actual case study itself, the mid-ocean ridge and seafloor spreading. The mid-ocean ridge is a divergent plate boundary. Seafloor spreading is occurring due to subduction, and this supports the theory of plate tectonics. So what we have here is the Eurasian plate and the North American plate being pulled apart due to this volcanic activity in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, pushing the plates apart. And this could be the possible solution to how Pangaea broke up, although we are unsure. Hopefully you'll find out more in this particular case study. I hope you enjoyed.